because I need to confirm how you're feeling. You because you represent yourself, no one else can waive your own appearance.
You're welcome to come over to the jail and come to my cell and see how I'm doing in there.
All right, I'll take a pass on that.
Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome to the Midlife Revolution. I'm your host, Megan Connor. And today is Tuesday, July 29th. It is just a few days after Lori's final sentencing. And those of you who are tired of hearing about Lori, just go ahead and scroll on by. I've got some loose ends that I need to tie up. I've always promised that when Lori speaks in public, I'm going to put her on mute. I'm going to read her comments, and then we can talk about what she is trying to express. And I've always said, Lori does not deserve the spotlight. People are absolutely right about that. However, every time she speaks publicly, we learn just a little bit more about what really happened. Now, are we ever going to get all the way to the truth? No, because she's never going to be completely honest. She's always going to put her spin on things. She's always going to be delusional. She's always going to continue to try to manipulate people. But I think the more she talks, the more that we learn about people like her. And all of us know people like her who are manipulative. And it's always been my idea to try and help to teach people about manipulation and control so they learn how to have more peaceful relationships in their lives. In fact, if you're interested in more peaceful relationships, I have an e-course, and it's called Bullyproof, Mental Self-Defense, all about how to deal with manipulative and controlling people. And until the 5th of August, it is going to be on 50% off with the code PEACE50. I had some technical difficulties on my last little promotion, and so I decided to extend it for you guys. I will have the link down in the show notes as well as in the comments after the video is over. I'll pin it as the top comment for you guys. Thanks for joining me. It's not going to be a long video because it was not a long interview, so we're going to try to get through this as quick as we possibly can. For those of you who are interested, I did yesterday post a sentencing statement. It's not really a victim impact statement because family members of the defendant are not allowed to give a victim impact statement. The only thing they're allowed to do is give a character reference or present mitigating factors that might lessen the sentence. And so I did a little character reference, and it was not positive. Spoiler alerts. You guys know how I feel about her, so it's not going to be a positive character reference. But it's pretty to the point. It's about 17 minutes long, so check it out if you haven't seen it already. So let's go ahead and get into this interview. This is Brianna Whitney. She is a wonderful journalist. She and I have talked several times over the last couple of months. She was kind enough to talk to me at both the Charles trial and the Brandon trial, and at the sentencing as well. We spoke just briefly. At Brandon's trial, we discussed the possibility that she might be able to get a third interview. And so I was interested to see what happened. Now, this interview was really short because they had technical difficulties, and Lori actually got in trouble, so she wasn't allowed to appear in person. And a lot of people have speculated about that. I just want to say that I overheard a conversation, so I don't know how credible it is, and I can't identify the people in the conversation, but I overheard somebody saying that Lori's investigator, Jeff White, and possibly her paralegal were giving her things in the courtroom that she wasn't really allowed to have, and she would then put them in that big accordion binder and take them with her to jail. And that is the rumor about why she got in trouble and got her tablet privileges taken away. It also made it so she couldn't appear in person for this interview. So Brianna Whitney was trying to do a video call with her. That video only lasted a short time before they had to give up on that and just do a phone interview. But you may know that Lori started out her interview with Brianna Whitney by holding up a picture of her and Chad Daybell. As promised, Lori is going to be on mute. I'm probably going to keep Brianna muted also because I don't want to get any copyright strikes, but I'll make sure that we read through the closed captions so that you guys understand exactly what is going on here. So Brianna then talks about her getting in trouble, getting her tablet taken away. And I always think it's funny to see how they spell Lori's name. So we're going to go here, and I'm just going to pause I'm actually going to see if I can take off the closed captioning for a second so you can see this picture a little bit better of Lori and Chad. Back before her face melted like a candle, and back when Chad was in his Lori fitness team era, I'm sure she was giving him jazzercise points on how to slim down. I thought what was cool too is that during this long pause, you could hear jail noises going on in the background. So she's very clearly not in the best place. Although her hair looks kind of decent today. I noticed she's given up on the Shih Tzu ponytail. She must have seen all of the negative comments that people were making about it. But Lori says, I don't feel like it's an ending of anything. I was convicted in the media long before I ever went into the courtroom. Is that what she said? Yeah, went to trial. You know this. Everybody knows this. This is one of Lori's typical sentence endings. Everybody knows this. Like, agree with me, right? But you have to understand the media coverage came. So this is Brianna now. You have to understand why the media coverage came, because your kids are not alive anymore. And then she froze. And at that point, Brianna says the video went back down. Nobody could figure out how to fix it. And so then they went to a phone call. So this is Lori's narrative that she has shared for a long time, ever since Colby did his interview with her, that Tylee took JJ's life accidentally and then took her own life. Well, all of us know that that is a ridiculous explanation, because the evidence shows very obviously that the last time that Tylee was seen was September 9th, and that JJ was seen again on September 22nd. So there's absolutely no way that that could have happened. But Lori, when she's been pressed about this issue before, she basically has just said, well, they only give you the evidence that they want to show. That's their narrative. She doesn't realize that we all have seen facts and evidence that disprove this. And she really just wants people to just take her at her word. They think if she says it enough times that they're just going to believe her. So we know that's Lori's narrative. And Brianna says, how would Tylee be able to then dismember herself and bury herself if she unalived herself? And Lori says, Brianna, my love for my children is eternal, and my children are eternal, and they're just in the next phase of their eternal life. And if people understood that, they wouldn't be so set on things that happened here in this life. So this is kind of, if you remove the crazy from it, it's kind of a Mormon narrative that our lives go on forever, that we existed forever before this life. And then we come here and we prove that we're going to be faithful to God, and then we'll exist forever after this life is over. And so in Lori's mind, she thinks that basically they just have moved on to the next phase of their life. She really does see them as alive in heaven, and she doesn't see a problem with how their lives ended at this point. So it really is a delusional warp of a Mormon belief. And it's also, I don't know, I always found it problematic that people give this life so little significance and they look so forward to the next life that they sort of skip over things a little bit sometimes. And I've heard so many stories and so many personal accounts of people who, they get cancer, they get sick, and they're like, it's okay. I've had a decent life. It doesn't matter if I'm pretty young, I'm 60, I'm going to go on to the next life and it's going to be awesome and beautiful. So that's definitely, oh man, you guys, I can't even talk about this AI thing. Does she use AI to talk to them? If you haven't heard, Rex and Adam have decided the next phase of they're going to end their Silver Linings podcast, and they've decided that they are going to put information about famous cases into AI and ask AI to generate a conversation with the murderers. And I can't even talk about how not only ethically horrible that is, but how horrifying it is to even think of that concept and how it's going to be for the families of their victims. It's just awful. So anyway, it's a pretty gross concept if you ask me. So let's get back to the interview here. Lori just saying her kids are alive and happy in heaven, which is what she has always asserted, at least since she gave her allocution statement in her first trial. Sorry for my dogs. All right, hang on a second. They just want to play right when I'm trying to do a live show. Okay, going back to this now. So Brianna then goes, but they were unalived. And so how would she have buried herself if she did it herself? And Lori says, well, that's a ridiculous question. Anybody could bury themselves. And she kind of does that. That's a ridiculous question. And then it goes to like the little voice comes on and says, you have 1 minute remaining. And Brianna's like, oh no, this is my last minute. Considering you were convicted of killing your kids. And then Lori comes back with this media narrative again. She says, well, I attribute that to the media. I don't attribute that to the facts. So she still is under this delusion that people were convinced in the media that she was at fault and she wasn't there. She found them afterwards. And then Alex took care of them. She gave them to Alex for safekeeping. And then she believes that the jury was swayed by all the media coverage. She's still going with that narrative, that the jury was just biased coming into it. And so that's the only reason that she got convicted. It wasn't because of the evidence. It wasn't because of the DNA. It wasn't because of all of the cell phone data that we have. It was because the media swayed the jury into convicting her, even though she was not guilty. You know, she's going to continue on with this narrative that if you didn't see it and hear it, then it didn't happen. And that's just a very literal belief. It's a very literal way of believing about things. And so, you know, Brianna reminded her that this is her last connection with the outside world. And then she's going to be shipped back to Idaho. And then she asks, I think this is the last question that she was able to get in here. She says, will you have empathy for Charles's family and Brianna, no matter what you thought or no matter what you judged me of or whatever, I love you. That's what she's going to say. And we heard the similar story that she told Colby. And I thought that was really disgusting, where she basically said, you know, when we get to heaven, I'm not going to say, I told you so. I'm just going to say, I love you. So disrespectful, so awful. Now I want to share something with you guys. I came across this incredibly wonderful video that I've been wanting to share with you for a while, but things have been busy and also I've been grieving. And so I just want to tell you, this grieving process at the end of the trial has been very, very difficult. It's been harder than a lot of the grief that I've gone throughout this process. And it was unexpectedly so. You know, I expected to have a sad day on Friday. I expected to feel a lot of emotions, but I did not expect to feel so alone. I didn't expect to feel so destabilized, really. And there were several times over the last few days that I basically have said that I've questioned whether or not I'm going to even continue to speak publicly, because I just have had so much grief that I just don't want to talk in public anymore. I said to my partner the other day, I just want to take some mundane job that has nothing to do with emotions and has everything to do with numbers and just sit behind a desk for 8 hours a day and come home and cook dinner and love my kids and go to bed and get up and do it again. I've had a couple of moments where I just don't want to do it. I think I'm over it. I think I am. I'm getting there. I still have that thought in the back of my head a little bit, because I've often said, you know, my life would be so much easier if I didn't care so much, you know, if I didn't dig into these truly emotionally draining and heart-wrenching cases. And when I think about the future of my channel, what I want to do going forward, I keep asking myself, you know, do I want to cover these really heartbreaking cases like that? that those victim impact statements took so much out of me because I am an empath. You know, I feel those same feelings with everybody. And it has been really, really draining. So I don't know what it looks like other than to say, I'm going to continue to investigate because I love investigating. But I think one of the things that really resonated with me is to look into unsolved cases and to give a voice to those cases that are a little bit more obscure. And yes, Ryan Applesnapple, I was there in person on Friday. I was sitting in the front row. I was sitting right next to Nancy Jo, by the way. And she was so kind and compassionate to me. She is such an amazing, stellar person. I just absolutely love her. She just a couple of times just rested her hand on my knee to just say, like, I'm here for you. And it helped so much. You know, I was breathing very heavily at some times. I was very angry at some times. I had so much emotion, and I don't like hiding my emotions. And in the courtroom, of course, you can't really cry audibly or yell or any of that. I really had to just keep it to myself, but I did a lot of deep breathing, and I forgot to bring my little squishy ball, but I got through it, obviously, and did okay. I just was really glad that Nancy Jo was sitting right there next to me. So I want to cover, again, more of the cases that are a little more obscure. You know, Lori she had pretty privilege, and that's why she, I think, got away with it for so long. Why she was able to just walk out of the police station after Charles was killed with a victim's advocate instead of being more pressed about what happened that day. And I think that a lot of these true crime cases that we follow involve pretty white women, whether they're the perpetrator or whether they're the victim. And I want to talk more about the children's cases that go overlooked and the cases of the people that are, that are overlooked and marginalized. And so I'm reaching out to some of my friends and professional contacts that I've made throughout this whole inglorious saga, so that I can have access to some court documents and some records. And I have a couple of cases I'm already interested in covering, but of course I'm always open to suggestions. You can put those in the comments, especially if you wait till after the video is done and put them in those comments, because I don't get to see chat after it's gone. I just can't go back and look through it. So I appreciate you guys being willing to help me out with comments in that way. So I did not talk to Summer. For those of you who are asking, I saw her. She saw me. She knew I was there. She had not nice things to say about me. I did not talk about her at all. I didn't talk to her, and I'm just going to keep it that way. I'm not really interested in dealing with any of that stuff. So I am going to bring up this absolutely brilliant video if I can find it. It is definitely in my watch later playlist, but for some reason, here we go. Watch later. I've already watched it 4 or 5 times. I'm not kidding you guys, because I thought it was such an excellent commentary. And it's by somebody I really have a lot of respect for. And I've actually interviewed her on my channel before, way, way back during the first season of Midlife Revolution. I think it was last summer, actually. And for some reason, I can't find it. I literally watched, oh, there we go. That's why. It's because it's not her picture on the front side of this.
Religion.
So, give me just a second. I want to make sure my playback speed is normal, because it often isn't. Okay, this is Britt Hartley. For those of you who don't know who Britt Hartley is, she's an absolutely brilliant person. She is a former Mormon, and she lost her faith while she was doing a doctoral thesis on religion and theology. And she completely lost her faith, like not just losing her faith in the Mormon church. She completely lost her faith in God after she started studying so much about different world religions and the corruption that exists in a lot of church systems, not just the Mormon church. And she went all the way down to nihilism, as in nothing matters. And she really got to this dark place in her life. And she has since then rebuilt her spirituality in a beautiful way. And she wrote a book called No Nonsense Spirituality, which talks about how to be a spiritual person without having to believe in the truth claims of different religious traditions in order to get the tools and the stories that can help. And she is incredibly intelligent. And she put up a video the day before the sentencing called Lori Still Believes It. And I found this absolutely fascinating, and I hope you will like it too. It's not very long. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm just going to play the first couple of minutes, and then I want to talk a little bit about it. So thank you to Britt Hartley at No Nonsense Spirituality. And it's just amazing. So here we go.
So first of all, religions cannot do anything about their own Lori and Chad Daybells. Not really. They can say they're crazy and try to distance themselves. That's all that they can really do. But everything that she is saying is doctrinal. So the only thing that they can say is she's crazy. But the only reason she's crazy, and I will die on this hill, the only reason she's crazy is because she took the beliefs too seriously. On the pulpit in Mormonism, it is totally normal to talk about spiritual warfare, the end of the world, God having a special mission for you. That's foundational in Mormonism. Even being preordained that you were going to marry this person and have a special mission to be Mormon in the last days. All of that, totally normal. Would hear that in any Sunday. Also normal in Mormon doctrine is that God has you kill someone as part of his divine purpose. That is in the Book of Mormon and taught to children every single Sunday in a
Muted. I'm so brilliant when I'm muted, you guys. Sorry. This is not just Lori. It's not just Mormon kids today. It is Mormon kids, I would say all the way back 50 years have been told that they are a chosen generation, that they are on the earth for a special purpose, that they've been saved for the last days because God needs his strongest children at the last days. I was told that as a child, and I got baptized in freaking 1982. So they've been told this for a really, really long time. Yeah, Trisha would be proud. She and I are both brilliant when we have ourselves muted.
In a Mormon church, that God told Nephi to kill Laban. If you're not Mormon, just, these are just characters in the Book of Mormon. And God says that it's okay because God says that it's okay. And so you have to do it. And so on top of that, Mormonism teaches that you receive your own personal revelation, that you don't need the big thing about Mormonism is you don't need a priest in between you and God. And so Nephi wasn't even the prophet at the time. That was his father. So regular people, according to scripture, can receive revelation to kill for God's divine purposes. And God has the ability to speak to you and reveal himself to you. That is taught to children every Sunday in Mormonism. Even this idea that people have work to do on the other side of the veil, which you'll hear Lori talk about her children had work to do on the other side of the veil.
They're busy and they're happy. And most of the time to Mormons, this means that they are visiting their other relatives, bringing them comfort, helping them make decisions in their lives. And they're also doing missionary work. In other words, teaching other people about Mormonisms. I just want you to know, by the way, we have 666 people in chat right this very second. I'm so proud. So Mormons believe that eventually everybody's going to be Mormon. And so they believe that when they get to heaven, they're going to be teaching other people about the Mormon church and converting them, and maybe doing a little woo-woo, visiting other people and giving them special spiritual experiences so that they will join the Mormon church. That definitely, yeah. I love this, Mike Petty. How about you go about your own business and treat others the way you want to be treated? Maybe go into your own business and raise a family, make millions. How about that, psychos? I love it. Yeah, setting the time on the celestial VCRs. I can't tell you how many crazy stories I've heard of people being visited by their relatives to do perfectly mundane things. And we even heard Chad Daybell saying that his mother-in-law came to visit him and tell him to tell Tammy to stop playing so much Garden Bill or whatever it was that she was playing. Seriously? That's what she would come back and say. If you had one message for your granddaughter, that would be it. And then also, not only that, but like grandma wouldn't visit Tammy directly, would just only visit Chad. Oh, that's right, because it's a patriarchy. I forgot. So yeah, let's go on with this just a little bit longer.
Again, something you'll hear every Sunday. So this is, to me, one of my big problems with religion. Fundamentalists, as problematic as they are actually the ones that are usually taking the religion most seriously. I also see this with people with autism who are religious. So autistic people tend to either be fundamentalist or atheist, and not a lot in between. They don't do a lot of like the social mental gymnastics to nuance things. They're usually like, I'm taking this religion seriously. If you're, if this is true here, I'm going to take this to the logical conclusion, which is fundamentalism. Or when they lose religion, they tend to be atheists just because of how an autistic brain works. And so what's interesting to me is that, again, as problematic as fundamentalism is, they're there because they're taking the religion most seriously. And so the only way that religion is healthy is when you actually don't fully believe in it. Like, religion is healthy when you read the Bible, but you're not prepping for the end of the world. Religion is healthy when you don't believe that people are actually possessed by demons, even though the scriptures say that they are. Religion is healthy when you read about owning slaves, but you don't actually do it. Religion is healthy when you don't really believe that people are going to hell, because if people really are going to hell, if they believe the wrong thing, you should, like, if that is true, if somehow I knew that that was true, that there are people that with the wrong beliefs, they're going to be on fire forever, you better believe I would be talking to every person on an airplane, that I would be the person on the bus talking about Jesus and that they need to convert, because every minute you should be talking to people about the correct beliefs, or else they're going to suffer in hell for eternity. That's actually the most logical thing to do if that was true.
Oh, she's just beautiful and lovely and smart and wonderful. And she is just an incredibly beautiful human being in every sense of the word. So I just wanted to make that point that Lori did not go wrong because she believed errant beliefs. She went wrong because she actually literally believed the fundamental beliefs of the Mormon Church. And yes, Brittany's very articulate. And for those of you talking in the chat about the wealth of the Mormon Church, they are a $250 billion organization. There is a watchdog group called the Widow's Mite Report. You can look it up on the internet. They have all kinds of infographics about the wealth of the Mormon Church. And when you have that much money, not only is it never going to go away, because they're going to just keep accumulating billions in interest. They have this huge investment fund, but also they have an incredible amount of power, especially in the state of Utah, which I will argue is basically a theocracy, because there are a lot of Mormon people in the decision-making positions in government. And how are they going to decide? They're going to decide favorably to the Mormon Church, because the Mormon Church also has a little bit of a God complex, where they believe that they are the one true religion. And so a lot of the decisions that they make, they think is for the greater good. And if you believe everybody is ultimately going to be Mormon, then you can lie a little, fudge a little, so that the Mormon agenda gets pushed forward, because it's what God is going to do at the end anyway. So I didn't mean for this to take a left turn into talking so much about Mormonism, but I did want to share that video with you. And I knew this interview was a little short. I want to share one other thing with you. And if you have questions, now's a good time, because I can actually watch the chat for a minute since there's no video going on. But I wanted to share this with you. I'm sure some of you have seen this before, but Julie Holden made cookies for everybody at the sentencing. Again, this is her habit to do this. She makes fantastic cookies. And they had this beautiful little sticker on it. You can see there's only crumbs left, because this was a snickerdoodle that was actually filled with caramel in the middle. It was amazing. But it has this beautiful sticker with Charles, JJ, Tylee, and Tammy with little halos. And it says, "And with hearts lifted in sweet remembrance, we honor JJ, Tylee, Tammy, and Charles. Brandon's life is a blessing we cherish, and justice, love, and Judge Boreski have helped to light the way." I thought that was really sweet. And Julie Holden is the only person who knew all of the victims in this case because she's Tammy Daybell's niece, but she also went to church with Lori and Charles, and she taught JJ and Tylee in primary at church. Give me just 1 second. She's mad because I ate the rest of the cookie. Sorry. Love you. Okay, so I'm just looking to see if you guys have any questions that you would like me to answer tonight. My email address is askmegan with 2 E's @gmail.com. I will put it up here for you. And then my Patreon is patreon.com/the midlife revolution. I've had some technical difficulties over there the last week or so, but now that I'm back in town and the trial is over, I will be able to fix those videos that did not post correctly. Some of them got put back up. I try to post at least a couple of videos a day. So Ryan Apple Snapple, thanks for bringing this up. Jeanine Harrop is the one who is giving out bracelets with Tylee, JJ, and Charles's name on it. I have a little baggie full of bracelets. A bunch of people asked me for bracelets at the verdict, Charles's verdict, but they said Jeanine wasn't coming until the sentencing. And so she gave me what was left. There were not very many left, but those of you who sent me an email, I will do my very best to get them to you. Rex and Adam's idea is to have AI imitate famous killers and have conversations with them. So that's pretty creepy in my opinion, and also ethically ambiguous. Actually not. It's just, I think it's ethically wrong to do that. And then I wanted to tell you guys, tonight I will be on Latter Daily Digest on Tuesdays with Tim. We are going to be talking about ghost stories. If you like weird, that's a great place to hang out. We have a panel of, it's just fun. It's a good time. We talk about weird things, but you know, it's really fun. And then tomorrow I'm going to be doing finally my sentencing recap. I didn't want to do it alone. And so I am going to have Randy and Jean help me point out the most poignant and important parts of the sentencing hearing. And then, so that probably, I'm just going to say probably will be the last one, because I do want to talk about the sentencing definitely, but I just want to make sure that there are no loose ends that I haven't covered. And I don't think there are. I'm just like thinking through my list of videos in my mind, and I don't think there are any other loose ends related to the devouring mother that I'm going to do. So then I wanted to tell you guys, I'm going to be at the Sunstone Conference in Salt Lake City this weekend. And thank you for this, Gali Sinatra. I appreciate that. It's very kind. I'm going to be at the Sunstone Conference in Salt Lake City this weekend, signing books, selling books. If you want to stop by, I believe it's at the University of Utah. I don't know a lot of details about it because it's kind of a last minute thing, but I'll be covering that conference and probably going live with some of my dear friends who are going to be there. I know Ganesh Cherian is going to be there, and I just like to hear him talk. So he's going to be there. I'm probably going to try to grab some interviews with some different people. I need to reach out to John DeLynn and let him know that I'm going. And so hopefully we'll have lots of videos live from Salt Lake, little mini interviews this weekend. And Britt Hartley is going to be speaking at the conference as well. I'm looking so forward to that. I always learn so much from her. So I wanted you guys to know what I was up to. Yes, I will tell RFM and Rebecca Biblioteca hi. Hopefully they will talk to me for a couple of minutes as well. I'm going to be at a table that a bunch of different authors are sharing. And so I'm going to be selling my book as well as helping those other authors promote their book. Barbara Jones Brown will be there, the author of this amazing book, Vengeance is Mine, about the Mountain Meadows Massacre. She and I are going to be talking about a project that I have coming up that I'm really, really excited about. So Sunstone does have a significance in the faith. If you look at Mormon temples, they're very symbolic, very Masonic. They have sun and moon and stars in carvings all over the temple. And by the way, that's not the reason for this tattoo. It's completely not. But that's where sunstone sort of came from, is because people started tying the temple rituals to Freemasonry. And it became a conference where scholars and religious scholars could share information about the true origins of the church and also the historical documents. And it has just become a huge symposium of historians and researchers and teachers and people on all parts of the Mormon and non-Mormon spectrum. So it's just really going to be amazing. It's my first time going to that conference. And so I'm really excited about being there. And this is, thanks to Randy and Jean who arranged for me to be able to be there. So I'm really, really excited. And yeah, that's what's going on. So I appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for always being so supportive. If you have ideas about unsolved cases that you want me to look into, I really want to focus on ones where the family is still actively trying to get answers. If people are settled with not knowing, then I don't want to disturb anybody who is settled. But I do definitely want to talk to families who are still looking for answers. And yes, Lindsay Hansen Park will be there. Alyssa Grenfell will be there. Lots of people. So I'm really excited to see everybody and do a few interviews. So again, head on over to Ladder Daily Digest. In about half an hour is when we'll be there for Tuesdays with Tim, Randy, Jean, Tim, me, and who else? You never know. You never know who's going to show up there. So if you haven't seen my statement after the sentencing, please go watch it. I'm very proud of it. And I feel really settled after having written and delivered that. And I think it'll help you feel some settle at the end of this inglorious saga as well. As always, please take care of yourselves. Be good to each other. And if you want info on my Bullyproof course, that's coming up next. Have you ever been in a relationship where all of your communication with a person leaves you feeling frustrated and confused and like you're the problem and you can do nothing right? You're definitely not alone. As a survivor of narcissistic abuse, I've learned how to spot manipulation and control tactics that are used by narcissists and bullies and other manipulative people. There's good research to suggest that at least 1 in 5 people use tactics of manipulation and control in their closest relationships. If you've ever been in one of these relationships, or if you're in one right now, I can assure you that you're not alone. And I can also help you learn how to have more peaceful communication and how to take your power back from bullies. I've developed an e-course that's available online and on demand. It's 8 modules of over 2 hours each, packed with information about how to spot manipulative behaviors and how to defend against the tactics that steal your energy. By the time you finish the course, you'll have a toolbox full of resources that you can use to help you navigate these difficult relationships. In addition, the course comes with a free community membership where we can engage with each other to share our struggles and our stories and help support each other on this journey of learning how to defend against controlling people. On my podcast, The Midlife Revolution, and on my YouTube channel, I've already helped thousands of people start on their way to a healing journey. I would love for you to join us.